The ones I'm going to show you here today are from the Giallo. So these are all kind of original early 70s, mid 70s Giallo lobby cards from Mexico. And I said before, it's actually a very economical way of collecting the artwork, original artwork, because I got most of these off eBay, about $5 or $6 directly from Mexico. And as you can see, the Mexican lobby cards, this is a fantastic example. They always pick out the most gruesome, sexy and whatever images from a film, and they really don't hold back, so that's why I do love Mexican lobby cards so much. And another case in point actually is what we have here is Seven Blood-Stained Orchids, and again showing some of the more sensationalist elements from the film. Although interestingly, quite a lot of these lobby cards tend to show black and white stills from other films. I mean, this isn't, as far as I'm aware, in Seven Bloodstained Orchids. It's certainly not in any version I've ever seen. Here we have a slightly different proposition. This is Aldo Lado's Short Night at the Glass Dolls. Fantastic conspiracy paranoia giallo. If you haven't seen that, it's definitely worth sort of checking out. And again, what is it shows all the most fantastic elements of the film, and again highlights some fantastic artwork. What we have here is actually a kind of quasi-giallo. I expect I term it as a giallo, but it's Pupo Avati's The House of the Windows That Laugh. Surprisingly restrained, but one of my favourite Italian horror movies all time. Very different from some of the more cheesy ones, but definitely worth catching. Now this is actually not a giallo, it's a crimi. It's as it sounds, it's the Gorilla of Soho. And as most crimis are pretty insane and fun, and this is no exception. What we have here is probably a later giallo, Trauma. I have not seen it, but again it has the parallels between this and the slasher movie are pretty clear from this artwork. Here's got one of Paul Naschy's would-be giallos. I'd still term it as a giallo, even though it's a Spanish film. It may be a Spanish-Italian co-production, I can't remember. And I think it's one of the title 7 bodies for Jack the Ripper, or they may be slightly wrong with that. Another great lobby card here is for The Queen in Red Kills 7 Times. There's Barbara Boucher again, who was in the Don't Touch Your Duckling, and also again showcasing some of the more gory images from the film. Talking of gory images, here we have The Case of Scorpion's Tail, Sergio Martino's incredibly violent giallo, probably his most violent giallo, bar possibly Torso, and again highlighting one of the gorier images from the film. Talking of gore, this is probably the perfect example of sex and violence. Again, Sergio Martino's breakout giallo from 1970, The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, and you have there the queen of the giallo herself, Edwige Fenech. And here we have another example with the giallo, with the yellow, with the as you can see, the incredible artwork there showing Susan Scott in Pose. Now, I'm not actually sure which film this is. What it has is Anita Strindberg, who was in many giallos, including Don't Touch Your Duckling, and of course the king of the giallo, George Hilton, who's there being menaced, which is an unusual pose for a giallo, where it's obviously usually women who are being menaced by a knife-wielding maniac. But if anyone can tell me what that film actually is, please do. Here's Marissa Mell in another Lucio Fulci film, which is one on top of another earlier giallo, or late 60s giallo, I believe. Interestingly, Lucio Fulci's name doesn't actually appear on this anywhere, and it doesn't appear on the previous lobby cards, so maybe Lucio Fulci wasn't a big sell in Mexico. Paranoia, Carol Baker, another queen of the giallo, who's less celebrated, I guess, than Edwige Fenech. But again, the yellow, the giallo colour, and again some fantastic artwork showing all the best and the most sensationalist images from the film. Now, talking of sensationalist images, this is I Own the Locandina, which is the Italian film poster for Evelyn, The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. Now, this is one of the Mexican lobby cards, and if you just look at quite how sensationalist and how fantastic this artwork is, how kinky it all is, and you can imagine the lines must have been around the block when this was out at the cinema in Mexico. And here we have yet another one of Susan Scott, Luciani Curly films, which I think this is Cry and Terror. I might be wrong. I can always get those two, or Death Walks at Midnight, or Death Stalks Midnight. I always get those mixed up, but again, fantastic. I mean, look at this for sensationalist artwork. It doesn't get much better than that. What we've got under here. Black Belly of the Tarantula. One of the slightly later Giallos, and again showing the kind of sensationalist thing when you've got the killer wearing the surgical gloves there, and again fantastic artwork. Now, what's I'm trying to remember what film this is actually. I can't remember what film this is, but it's a good artwork. It's Rossabella Neri. I should have done my research before I did this, and again, the artwork doesn't come much better than that. And just to finish off, we have the Bloodstained Butterfly there, which is another classic Giallo and a classic Giallo shot there. I've a lot more Italian Giallo artwork in Locandina's. I might do that at another point, but I think I've already used up over 6 minutes of this, and there's still more Mexican lobby cards to come. So if you enjoyed that, check out the other series.